Good morning, students. This is Unit 3 Basic ICT Skills. In this video, I will discuss Chapter 2 Components of a Computer System. Students, first of all, you have to know what is a computer. A computer is an electronic device that has a device to enter data, store data, process raw facts and figures according to the given instructions and give the desired result on an output device. Here you see data. Here data refers to raw facts and figure. Here example is given 1, 2, 3. Or you have written the name of the subject, name of the student. Okay, so these all will be your what? Your datas. Okay, then what will be the information? Information refers to process data. Like I have two numbers, 25 and 34. Here 25 and 34 both are datas. But when you will get the result 59, then this one will be your process result that will be called as information. Now, the next part, that is what is computer system? If I'm talking about the computer system, then it comprises of hardware and software. You all are knowing what is hardware. Physical parts of a computer such as input devices, output devices, central processing unit, and storage devices, that all will be called as hardware. Then what is a computer software? Softwares are the programs or application that run on computer. You have Flash, Dreamweaver, MS Word, PowerPoint, even your operating. Now, student, you will know the physical components of your computer system, that are input unit, processing unit, storage unit, auxiliary storage, and your output unit. You can see in the figure. First one is input device. Okay, whenever we give data to the computer, that should be given by the help of input device. Input devices are used for entering data on instruction into the computer. Next one is processing unit. You know, your CPU is the brain of the computer system. It has different functions. Okay. It controls the sequence of operations within the computer. It gives the commands to other part of the computer. It controls the use of main memory for storing data and instruction. When I'm talking about the CPU, then it has the main units. And what are the main units? They are arithmetic and logic unit, control unit, main memory unit. Okay, so these are the three parts, the three main units. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to discuss what is arithmetic and logic unit. All the calculations and comparisons are done in this unit. The ALU perform all the following arithmetic operation, that is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. The ALU also performs the following logical operations that are less than, greater than, less than equal to, greater than equal to, and then not equal to. Now, the next one is the control unit. The control unit controls the flow of data from the input devices to memory and from memory to output devices. It does not process the data. When the processing begins, the first instruction of the program is selected and fed into the control section of the primary storage area. It is then interpreted there, and then the signals are sent to other components to perform the necessary action. The next instruction is then selected, interpreted, and executed. This is continued till all the instructions are processed. Okay, next one is the main memory, that is also called a register. Okay, these are the temporary storage area found in the CPU of modern computers. Whenever we work, suppose I am going to work on Word. So first of all, this word has to be sent to memory unit. As double time we click on that application gets loaded in the memory unit. Okay, even you are doing the calculation, that is also done by this unit. Okay, now the next part is software. Software is set of programs that perform a particular task. Here you can see I have given the categories of software. You can see it. Software is divided into three categories: system software, utility software, application software. Your system software is divided into parts: operating system, language processor, and language processor is converted in three parts. Okay, yes, compiler, interpreter, and assembler. Same way, application software gets divided into two parts: general purpose and the customized software. Okay, so first of all, I will discuss the system software. This is my first topic. Okay. System software is a set of one or more programs designed to control the operation of a computer system. Operating system and language processors come under the category of system software. Okay. Now, first one is your operating system of system software. Operating system is a master control program that runs the computer. When the computer is switched on, operating system is the first program, my dear, gets loaded into the computer's memory. You know, you are having different operating system. Like in smartphone, we have Android, Windows, like that one. Even you have some other operating system like Unix, Linux. Okay, these are already like Solaris, Mac, DOS. These all are your operating system. Now, the next part is my language processor. You know, if suppose I want to communicate with you, but you are not knowing my language, you can understand Hindi, but you cannot understand English. And I can understand English, but I can't understand Hindi. So there will be a translator. Whatever I speak, that must be translated into Hindi so that you can understand it. Same way, whatever you will speak, that gets translated into English. Okay, so that we both can communicate easily, my dear. So, what is a language processor? A computer understands instructions in the form of machine code, you know, that is 0 and 1. The programs are written in English, like high level language called source code. The source code must be converted into machine language in order to be executed. Because as you know, we understand high level language, but computer understand machine level language. Now here, the translator program that is used to convert source program written in high level language to machine code is called the language processor. The program translated into machine code is called object program. So when I'm talking about the language processor, then the language processor is of three types: compiler, assembler, and interpreter. So what is a compiler? It is a program that translates a high level, yes, language program into machine language. Okay, but it gets translated in one go, my dear, like your C++ compiler. Next one is assembler. It is a program that translate an assembly language program into machine language. Okay. Next one is your interpreter. It is a program that translates a high level language, the high level language into machine level language, but line by line, like your Visual Basic. Students, one more time, I'm going to explain, because nowadays we have compiler and interpreter used in the program. If suppose you have 10 statements in a program, what the compiler will do, it will read all the 10 statements and flash the errors at a time on the screen. But interpreter, it just check your statements one by one. If you have 10 statements, first statement is okay, second statement is having error, it is not going to, yes, entertain the third statement unless your second statement is error free. Okay. Now I will be discussing about the application software. Already this part I have discussed. Okay. Now, what is application software? Application software is a computer program that is designed to perform a certain type of work. This type of software pertains to one specific application, like software written to calculate salary of the school employees cannot be used to prepare school result. Application software can be classified as general purpose software and customized software. Your customized software is also known as a specific purpose application software. So don't be confused. Somewhere you will see customized software, somewhere you will see specific purpose application software. Both are same idea. Now, my first part is now students, you have to know what is general purpose application software. General application software that can be used for a variety of tasks. General purpose software includes office applications such as presentation software and word processing software. For example, presentation software is primarily designed for users to create presentation, but it may also be used to create a simple poster or diagram. Next one is your customized software. Customized software is the second part of application software. Customized softwares are the softwares that performs a particular task, like accounting management software can do only your accounting work. If you have the school software, then only school type of work you can do in that. You cannot draw the picture. Okay. Reservation software, payroll systems, they all come under the customized software. Now, the next type of software, that is your utility software. A utility software is used to perform maintenance work on a system or on the components of the computer. Your examples are antivirus software, file management program. They all are your utility program. Now, the first one is antivirus software. Now, what is antivirus software? This program helps in detecting and removing viruses. You have different antivirus softwares like Norton, McAfee, Quick Hill, Penicillin. These all are your antivirus software. Next one is file management program. File management programs tools help in storing, searching and sorting files and folder on the system. The best example is your Windows Explorer available in Windows. Next one is compression. This program helps in compressing of large files so that they take less storage space. You might have heard about softwares like WinZip. If you have a file that is of 3 GB and you want to store this one in your pen drive, but your pen drive contains only 2.5 GB space left, then in that case, that big file you must have to compress it into small, and that will be done by the help of software. The best one it is given here, WinZip. Now the next part is disk management tools. This program includes disk cleaner, disk defragmenter, and the backup. So what is the disk cleaner? This utility scans for the files that have not been used since long time. These files may be occupying large amount of space. It promotes the user to delete such files to create more disk space. Whenever you have lack of space in your hard disk, do this. Okay. Next part, that is disk. Yes, defragment. It rearranges the files and free space on the computer so that files are stored in contiguous and free space is consolidated in one contiguous block. This speeds up the disk access. Sometimes it happens your system is slow, okay, then in that case you must run the disk defragmenter. But for doing this you have to wait more than an hour, my dear, because it is very slow, my dear, whenever you are running this. Now the next one is the backup. Backup means, my dear, making a duplicate of the files and data stored on the computer. This program is used to take backup copy of data in case the original data is lost. The backup data can be used. It can be taken externally also. You can have the external hard disk, and in that also you can take the backup, my dear. Now, student, The next part is primary and secondary memory. What is the primary memory? The primary memory is also called as primary storage. It is directly accessible by the CPU. It is a volatile memory. You can see. Now, your RAM, your primary memory is divided into two parts. One is RAM and other one is ROM. So what is RAM? RAM is random access memory. It is used to hold active information of data and instructions. Information in RAM is stored in random order. That is why it is known as random access memory. Next one is ROM, read only memory. But before that, I have to say some more thing about the RAM. Okay, it is a temporary memory. When power supply is switched off, the information stored in RAM is lost. So it is called as a volatile memory. It is also known as read-write memory, as information can be read from RAM and also written on it. Information stored in RAM may be erased or written number of times. Now, the next part is ROM, that is read-only memory. It is the part of computer's main memory. It is used to store the instructions provided by the manufacturer to check basic hardware and to load operating system from appropriate storage device. The storage of data and instructions in ROM is permanent, my dear, until it is written over. The contents of ROM are not lost when power supply is switched off. That is why we say this one as the non-volatile memory. Okay. Now, here you can see the function of primary memory. Here data is fed and held until it is ready to be accessed. It is used to hold the data being processed and the intermediate result of processing. Next, it holds the result of the processing. It holds the processing instructions. These all are the functions of primary memory. Now, the next part, that is secondary storage. Students, your computer main memory stores data and information what? In temporary way. If suppose I have drawn the picture and suddenly my system gets switched off, but suppose my system is not having secondary storage device, in that case what I will do? Again, I have to draw the picture. But I want this data must be saved in my storage device. Then for doing this, you must have to go for the secondary storage device. Okay, the secondary storage memory is used to store bulk of information. The information stored in secondary memory is not lost. Okay, so it is called as non-volatile memory. These devices are non-volatile as data is stored in these devices till we have not deleted it. Secondary storage device includes hard disk, CD, DVD, pen drive. Now, the next type of memory that we use nowadays in our laptop, desktop, that is cache memory. Don't read this one as cache memory. Its pronunciation is cache memory. Cache memory is a small size type of volatile computer memory that provides high speed data access to a processor and stores frequently used computer programs, applications, and data. Students, if cache memory is there, the performance of your computer will be nice. Okay. A temporary storage of memory cache make data retrieving easier and more efficient. It is the fastest memory in a computer and is typically integrated on the motherboard, my dear, and directly embedded in the processor or the main RAM. Now, the next part, that is memory units. You see, like when you have to, yes, purchase a potato, okay, then you go for kg gram. Same way, when we have to measure the size of the data, then we use the computer's memory unit. Okay. Now here you can see units of computer memory are, you can see many are there. Okay. But we use till terabyte. Okay. But in server, you will see the hard disk having a storage in zettabyte. Now, first of all, you have to know about one bit. What is one bit? If I'm talking about one bit, it means either 0 or 1. Next one is nibble. So when I'm talking about the one nibble, that means it is 4 bits. Okay. Now when I'm talking about the byte, then 1 byte becomes 8 bits. 1 kilobyte equal to 1024 bytes. Students, you must have to remember these all units. 1 megabyte equal to 1024 kilobyte. Like, yes, when you are going to purchase potato, tomato, then we go for kilogram and gram. So here 1 kg equal to 1000, but don't be confused here. Here it is 1024. 1 gigabyte equal to 1024 megabyte. 1 terabyte equal to 1024 gigabyte. 1 petabyte equal to 1024 terabyte. 1 exabyte equal to 1024 petabyte. And 1 zettabyte equal to 1024 exabyte. We use zettabyte in server. Okay. I hope you all have understood this topic very nicely. Thank you, my dear.